A few days ago, Bandai sent out this image with a silhouette of a Digimon Pendulum and two swimmers, teasing something coming soon, October 2nd, which that is the day that I am recording this. That soon has passed. So we knew basically what this was going to be, right? The Digimon Pendulum silhouette, that's indicating the pendulum color. We had a lot of signs pointing towards that. The swimmer silhouettes, of course, are from the original Digimon Pendulum commercial, which if you're not familiar with that commercial, go check that out. Just type Digimon Pendulum commercial on YouTube. It'll pop right up. Every Digimon fan should be familiar with that commercial. So the announcement has come. We know about the Digimon Pendulum color. They even brought back the swimmer. They brought back that concept. They not just in these images, but in a whole commercial. I'm not going to show any clips from that because Bandai really doesn't like it when I show clips of their things. So I'm going to trust you to go seek out this new Digimon Pendulum commercial as well, featuring this guy shaking up his device. It's just an absolute delight that they brought that back. And that was brought back again to show off the new Digimon Pendulum color. We have Nature Spirits, Deep Savers, and Nightmare Soldiers. You will notice there are only 3. That was somewhat expected. That was something I was expecting them to do, as well as several other people, that we wouldn't see all 6 versions of the Digimon Pendulum color right away. We do still expect that they will have an additional 3 beyond this, but Bandai has a habit of not wanting to release too many things at one time through Premium Bandai, whether that's out of marketing or out of the actual availability of the processes needed to make these devices. They tend to keep them on the lower end, between 2 and 3 devices most of the time, sometimes 4, but we have 3 devices here, and we can see the mascots there in beautiful color in their pixels. We have Triceramon, we have Rukamon, we have Wizardmon, so we're getting the original Digimon Pendulum versions revamped in color, just like we did with the Digital Monster Color series compared to the original Digital Monster series. So these are coming out in February. They're available for pre-order right now on Premium Bandai. These are a Premium Bandai release, as you would probably expect with these types of devices. They're always a Premium Bandai release. These are not going to have a retail option to get into, and they are almost certainly not going to be localized. We have not seen localizations for anything in a while now, not since the Digital Monster X version 2. And I don't foresee this happening. There's more of a chance of the Digital Monster Color getting a localized release than this, but I don't expect that to get one either. So this is a Japanese-only product. This is something, it's going to be in English because the Digimon Pendulum original was in English. It wasn't in Japanese. Even though it was a Japanese product, it was in English, so we'll expect this to be in English as well, despite being sold in Japan. But this is something you're going to have to import. You're going to have to either go to a proxy, give them the Premium Bandai page, or you're going to have to use an import store like Zen and TCG, Japan You Want, Hobby Genki, any of those, to be able to import these to wherever you might live. So that pre-order period is going on right now between October 2nd and November 2nd. Even if the pre-orders run out on Premium Bandai, those other stores may still have pre-order options available, but best to act quickly if you want to make sure that you get one, whatever color you may be looking for. Get that in before the pre-order period is over. That way you can guarantee that you will definitely be able to acquire one, because these are, again, pre-order only items. Once they are sold and the pre-order period is over, they're not going to be stocking these as retail items. You might luck out with like Bandai Shop UK, for example. They know they've got some stock of Digital Monster Colors, but it's not a thing that's constantly being manufactured, basically. The release is going to be in February, so a little bit sooner than I would have expected, to be honest with you. I was expecting early 2024, but not that early, so that is exciting to see. And the price is 7,150 yen, a little bit more expensive than the Digital Monster Color, but by a very insignificant amount. We're talking like 200 yen difference, basically, between these two devices, so about exactly in line with the price that we were looking at. As far as conversion to US dollars goes, that's going to be between 45 and 55 bucks depending on what day it is, and it'll probably be sold on Premium Bandai US. Again, not a localized release, just a import release through Premium Bandai. It'll likely be sold on them for like 60 bucks. That's what they were doing with the Digital Monster Color. That's speculation, of course. You never can be 100% certain that Premium Bandai US will have these products, but they have generally been good about that with these types of devices. Not so much DIM cards and things, but with these devices, they've been good about that. So that's all the details about the actual release. So let's talk about the devices themselves. So these, of course, are updates of the original Digimon Pendulum series, which was the series that introduced us to several different things, such as the concept of Jogress, where you combine different Digimon together to make a whole new Digimon. It's also where we first got Ultimate Stage Digimon, the Stage 6s, otherwise known as Megas, outside of Japan. And like we see Saber Leomon down there in this picture right there. That's it. Well, Saber Leomon was also used as a perfect Digimon, but it was used as an ultimate in this case. So we have that showing up for the first time here. This is also where attributes came about. Vaccine data and virus all appeared on the pendulum for the first time along with that tree. It was actually messed up on the original pendulum release. They got it backwards, but I'm not assuming that they will keep it backwards on this. I don't even know if they know it was backwards. So this should have the normal tree of vaccine beats virus and so on. We also see that backgrounds, changeable backgrounds, are going to make a return on this from the digital monster color, and that's in the example here we're seeing. I think that's the Nightmare Soldier's background back there. So depending on if you fight another device, so if you have your Nature Spirits device and you fight Nightmare Soldiers or Deep Sabers, you'll get that background, and there will likely be other backgrounds to unlock through normal gameplay as well. We do see that this does connect to the digital monster color, and it will also connect to other Digimon Pendulum colors, but it won't connect to anything beyond that. It is only compatible with the color series of devices. So that's, yeah, that should be it for everything on this page. Moving on to the next piece. This is going to be rechargeable, just like the Digital Monster Color was, USB Type-C, pretty much identical to how things were on the Digital Monster Color, so not much to talk about there. The mechanics from the pendulum are all returning, so of course being called a pendulum is called that for a reason because it's got a little shaker inside of it. Now that shaker on the original pendulum was an integral part of the device in that as you shook it would actually hit a contact and record things, specifically for training and battles. The number of shakes you did would determine how good your shots were. If you got your perfect amount of shakes, then you'd get your best possible shots. If you didn't get the right shakes, then you would shoot out weaker hits. And on more recent devices, the shaking action has been done via an accelerometer. So I don't expect that to be any different for this one. This one will probably use an accelerometer as well, but we'll still have the clacker in there so that it still makes the sound. It just won't actually do anything on it. So all the normal functionality, again, does return. So that shaking's there. You're going to feed it. You're going to clean up after it. You're going to heal it after it gets sick. All that good stuff. And as far as battling goes, the Digital Monster Color had a quest mode on it. That is confirmed to be the case for the Digimon Pendulum Color as well, which again should have been a pretty obvious thing that you didn't really have to even guess at. Evolution times are going to be cut down from the original, like very standard for modern releases. The times that they're using here, I am a bit surprised by though. So 10 minutes, 12 hours, 24 hours, those are pretty normal for evolving into stage 2, 3, and 4. But evolving into stage 5 is going to take 32 hours, which is how long it took on the Digital Monster X, as well as the evolving into stage 6. It's going to take 40 hours, which is also the same time as on the X. And I would have been expecting the times from the Digital Monster Color, where it's 36 and 48, so a day and a half and 2 days. I'm curious as to why they went with this route. That obviously speeds things up a little bit, which I'm not always fond of. I do like later stages to take longer and longer as things go on, and this isn't a huge increase. So, I don't know. The reason the X had those times is because it also had stage 6 could evolve into stage 6 plus, and that would take 48 hours. So they kept it pretty sensible in that way. So I don't think that there's going to be a case where anything evolves from stage 6 to stage 6 plus on its own on this device. But I don't know, maybe I'll be surprised. Either way, shorter evolution times overall than the Digital Monster Color thanks to those last 2 stages. Other features returning, we're going to have cold mode come back, where you can just basically pause your Digimon, throw it in the fridge, and it'll stay there. And that second image actually doesn't really show this off very well, but backup mode backup is coming in as well, where whatever Digimon you're raising, you can throw it in a zip folder and keep it in backup. You can have one Digimon in backup, one Digimon being raised, so you can have 2 Digimon on the device at any given time. And they did confirm that Jogress will be possible with your backup Digimon. We did expect that, since that was a feature in the Digimon Pendulum Z, and with Copymon in the Digimon Pendulum version 20th, but it's great to see it confirmed. That way, that means you can raise 2 different Digimon on the same device and Jogress them together. No need to connect to another device for Jogress. So that is exciting to see that come back in. Up next, we want to talk about the actual Digimon on the device. So as you should expect, all of the Digimon from the original rosters are returning, and that includes not only everything from the base versions, but from the .5 versions as well. If you weren't familiar, there were 2 releases of each of the first 5 Pendulums versions. The ones labeled as 1.0, 2.0, etc., and ones labeled as 1.5, 1.2, or 1.1, 1.5, 2.5, and so on and so forth. And those .5 versions each had 3 different Digimon on them. So, for example, Tailmon, Plesiomon, and Lady Devimon on this page we're looking at here, those were all Digimon that appeared on the .5 version. So they will be combined into one version. That's how they did it on the Digimon Pendulum version 20th as well. So not a big surprise there. That is, but it's good to have it confirmed for sure. New Digimon appearing on here, and this is, I never expected this one. I was adamant that they wouldn't be adding like entire lines of Digimon on here, but sure enough, they have decided to add recent Digimon in here as basically as guest stars, like they've done with other modern devices in the past. So Angoramon, Jellymon, and Lugumon are all going to appear. They're going to appear on the Nature Spirits, Deep Sabers, and Nightmare Soldiers, respectively. It implies that they're going to have their full lines, whatever that may actually mean. So with Angoramon, we can expect it to evolve into, I forget all of its names, but Durabaribmon, Lamormon, Jimba, Angoramon, all them. Jellymon, we can expect Tesla Jellymon. Thetismon, I think it was, right? Yeah, Thetismon and Amphimon. And then Lugumon, we can expect Lugarmon. There's 2 Lugumons after that point. There's Soul Lugarmon and Hell Lugarmon, I believe. And so it could be either one of those. And then Fenrir Lugumon is most certainly a shoo-in as well. So no confirmation on those yet. That's just speculation, but pretty safe speculation at this point, I would say. We should be able to at least expect 3 more Digimon on top of the ones we're looking at here within those lines. So yeah, again, very, very big surprise. Was not expecting that. Other people were. Other people did make this guess, and good job for those of you that saw that coming, because I certainly did not. So there also will be new Jawgrass options for evolving into Stage 6+, of course. That should also be very expected. And in this case, we actually get a few reveals, right? So Saberleomon's back, obviously. Eldoradimon is going to be used as well, which I'm very excited to see. Actually, I almost predicted him, but then I went back. I'm like, no, I'm going to go with Pile Volcamon. That's definitely who it's going to be, but no, it turned out to be Eldoradimon, so I should have stuck with that one as the option. So it's on here as well, and it's the 2 of those Jawgrass, of Saberleomon and Eldoradimon Jawgrass, so we get a brand new Digimon that has not been used before. That Digimon being Tlalakmon, and I am definitely not pronouncing that right. I am not brushed up on my ancient Aztec language, but Tlalakmon there, as you can see, is based on an Aztec god. I guess that kind of fits in with the Eldoradimon a bit there, so it makes sense. It's a little guy with a big whole bunch of stuff going on all around him. It's a little hard to tell in this picture, so, but they haven't really revealed a super high-res one just yet, so at some point they'll get added to the reference book and we can get a clearer idea of it. But either way, that's super exciting. I wasn't really expecting them to do a brand new Digimon. Definitely was hoping for a brand new Digimon, but wasn't expecting it. So very happy to see that there. It also confirms something else important as well, which is that the Jawgrasses will, there will be options for them on the device, that one device itself. So Saberleomon and Eldoradimon both being here, they're going to be able to Jawgrass with each other on that one device. So that's exciting to see as well. Before this in the Digital Monster Color series, the Digimon didn't have that option. They would always be with a different version. You'd always Jawgrass with a different version, but in here you'll have the option for just one device Jawgrasses. So very excited to see that. As far as other Jawgrasses, we definitely will have some cross-device Jawgrasses as well, and that is basically confirmed by what we're looking at here. So in case you're unfamiliar with these silhouettes, first one, that would be Mastemon. Mastemon is a Jawgrass between Anjouamon and Lady Devimon, so between Nature Spirits and Nightmare Soldiers is what we'll expect to see for that. So it makes sense. We then have Aegistramon. Aegistramon was definitely one that I was predicting as well as many other people because it is one of the few Digimon that is a Stage 6+ normally and fits into Deep Sabers. So it's traditionally a Jawgrass between Plesiomon and a Seadramon species. I'm going to guess Metal Seadramon specifically in this case. Technically they could do any of them. That's all the reference book says. But I'm guessing they're going to stick with Metal Seadramon for the sake of just using the last one in the line. So yeah, that makes sense to see. Next one there though, that's a sprite that hasn't been used before. That is a brand new sprite, and we don't really know for sure which Digimon that is, so I'll come back to that one. Last one though we do know, that's Voltabautamon, and Voltabautamon is a Jawgrass between Vamdemon and Piemon, and for whatever reason it becomes a pirate or whatever, so that's going to be another single device Jawgrass for Nightmare Soldiers. So single devices are going to be Tlalakmon, Aegistramon, and Voltabauta, and then the multi-device are going to be Mastemon, and then whoever this other thing here is. I don't know if there's going to be one more beyond that. I don't even know if this is all of them, for sure. This is just at least what they're willing to show us at this time. So as far as that sprite goes, these are the two kind of leading things at the moment. So this has only been out for 2 hours. This is just basically what people in the Discord server have been talking about as options. And design-wise, Mitamamon definitely kind of fits the look a little bit there. Well, I mean, it goes both ways, right? Like, it's got the little wispy thing on the top, but its legs are a lot beefier than Mitamamon's, at least on how it looks here, as well as its gut. It's got more of a gut than Mitamamon has. So I'm personally not going for Mitamamon, especially because I think this is going to be on the Deep Saber's device, is what I'm expecting. Now, our other option there is Shanpangmon, and Shanpangmon, I think, is much more sensible. It is an aquatic, somewhat, it's both aquatic and avian in design, and would fit better into Deep Sabers overall, so I could definitely see that as being an option as well. But the other thing to keep in mind, though, is that both these Digimon are traditionally Stage 6 Digimon. Now, Stage 6 Plus is not a real stage, it is a pseudo-stage. Any Digimon could potentially be put into that stage, or any Stage 6 Digimon, I should say. So that's not necessarily to say that there's a strict division between Stage 6 and 6 Plus, but because they're not normally used as Jogresses, I'm also going to put third option here as being this could also be a new Digimon, which Deep Sabers would desperately need. Again, only having Aegisdramon, and Aegisdramon being barely aquatic looking, having another Digimon that would fit into the Deep Sabers mold would be fantastic for Stage 6 Plus. So that's what I'm hoping for. Again, it could be one of these other two guys, but I'm going to hope that it is a new Digimon altogether. Kind of looks horse-like. Could be a Kelpie. That'd be sick. I'd like a little Kelpie Digimon, wouldn't you? So, moving on, let's take a look at the actual rosters condensed into one form here. So, in case you've never seen the Nature Spirits roster before, these are all the Digimon that were originally on it, plus the new ones. So we have Bubmon, Mochimon, Tentomon, Gatsumon, Otamamon, and Angoramon for the first few stages there. Going down the adults, we have Kabuterimon, Tortamon, Monochromon, Starmon, Kuwagamon, and Gekomon. Then I'm going to come back to the bottom row in here in a second. In the next row we have, or the next column we have Atler Kabuterimon, Jagamon, Triceramon, Piccolomon, Okuamon, and Tonosama Gekomon. And then we have Heraclikabuterimon, Saberleomon, our new Digimon joining, Eldoradimon, and Metal Edamon. And then the ones outlined in orange down there, Tailmon, Anjomon, and Holydramon, those were from the .5 version originally. And for our Jogresses, we have Mastemon and Tlalak. That's going to be hard to say. Tlalakmon. And with all these here, there are an additional 5 Digimon that we haven't seen yet, because we do know that there will be 32 Digimon on each of these devices. So with all these here subtracted out, we have 5 remaining that need to be revealed for Nature Spirits, if I've counted this correctly, which I think I did. Deep Sabers, moving on to that. So for the first few stages, we have Pitchmon, Pukamon, Gomamon, Ganimon, Shakomon, and Jellymon. For the adults and so on for the .0 versions, we have Ikakumon, Rukamon, Siegramon, Selamon, Gesomon, Octomon, and then for perfects, Zudomon, Waymon, Mega Siegramon, Animalakarimon, Marine Devimon, Dagomon. And for ultimates, we have Marine Angemon, Metal Siegramon, and Pukamon. For the .5s, we have Abidramon, Hungyomon, and Metal Siegramon. And for our Jogress, we have Aegisdramon. Again, I think that other sprite is going to also be on here. We just don't know that for certain as of yet. And then for Nightmare Soldiers, we have Mokumon, Petimeramon, Bakumon, Candmon, Pico Devimon, and Lugamon for the first few. For adults, we have Hanuman, Garurumon, Meramon, Weezarmon, Devimon, Bakemon. For perfects, we have Mamon, Weregarurumon, Deathmeramon, Pumpmon, Vamdemon, and Phantomon. And for our ultimates, we have Skullmamon, Boltmon, and Piemon. For our .5s, we have Dokugamon, Lady Devimon, and Demon. And then for our Jogresses, Mastemon, and Voltabautamon. Now, one thing I do want to point out on this is that there's 2 Jogresses both on Nightmare Soldiers and Nature Spirits. We have 1 Jogress for sure on Deep Sabers right now, and probably the second one. My biggest question is going to be whether or not we're going to see more than 2 on each one. And if we only see 2 on each one, then the question will be is, with Deep Sabers, which other device would it connect to for its other Jogress? Now, that's an assumption, right? It could be that there's not a pattern between it, because 2 things isn't necessarily a pattern, 2 things can be a coincidence. 3 things might be a pattern, but 2 things could be anything. But we do have 1 cross-device Jogress and 1 on-device Jogress for both Nature Spirits, and Nightmare Soldiers. So I would expect that to be the same for Deep Savers as well. So who would it jog us with? And, well, that's where Shan Pang Mang comes in again as being a likely contender, just because that would allow it to be on Wind Guardians as well. Since it's, again, avian in design, it would fit well over there. So that's definitely a possibility if they choose to go that route. Or, again, they could just make it a whole new Digimon as well. Impossible to say for sure. But, so yeah, there's 6 more Digimon that need to be revealed on Nightmare Soldiers. I don't think I said on Deep Savers, but there should be 7 more Digimon on Deep Savers that need to be revealed. Now, originally, this was going to be the end of the video, but it's now several hours later, and there has been a new episode of Bandai Mania that has been posted, and they actually did reveal a few new things for us to talk about. So, first up from that is going to be backgrounds. So we already talked about how backgrounds can be taken from other versions of the Digimon Pendulum color, but not only that, you can also get backgrounds from the digital monster color as well. So here we see Triceramon on the Nature Spirits device with a version 1 background from the digital monster color. So I'm assuming you can get all 5 of them. That's really cool to see. I'm wondering if you'll be able to get the File Island background as well, if they're going to keep that, but probably not. But that does mean that we should get the Folder Continent background, doesn't it? So I don't know, maybe we'll get both. I doubt every single background from the digital monster color would return in some way, just the main 5 that you can get by connections for sure. So we'll see which other ones come out of that. Obviously the pendulum color might have a few other new ones as well. So backgrounds, super fun way to just kind of mix things up a little bit. I do like having them on there, just to be able to change it for each Digimon you're raising. Like, if you have an aquatic one on the digital monster color, I put it on the beach, or if it's something metallic, I put it on the grid. So very happy to see there's going to be more background options than there were on the digital monster color, just by the sheer nature of having the 6 from the pendulum and the 5 from the digital monster color. So they also talked about the pendulum mechanic, and it's interesting. So the original pendulum had you shake to a specific amount in order to get a mega hit. And here they're making it seem like there's less of a number target and more of a color target. And they talk about the color that appears for the count screen needs to match the color that appears for the ready screen in order for you to get your mega hit. And whether that means you need to hit a minimum or whether you need to go between a minimum and a maximum, not 100% certain based on the footage. It looked like it was just a minimum, but during one of the battles, Piemon shot out smaller hits, even though I thought it reached the minimum, so I don't know if there's like a maximum as well. Either way, it should be a little bit easier to figure out what your hits are, as opposed to the original method, which was just to hope that you shook the right number of times and get no feedback telling you whether you did or not, as far as an actual raw number output. They fixed that on the Pendulum Progress. The Pendulum Progress shows you how many times you actually shook, so you could have a better idea of it, but Pendulum is always just a mystery. Pendulum Z, they did make it so you hit a target number of arrows, which I liked more, to be honest with you. And this seems to be more in line with that, and that you'll have some kind of visual feedback to know when you've shaken the correct number of times. They also showed off the library feature. That's going to be coming back from the Pendulum Z and Digital Monster X, and where you'll have the Digimon that you've raised recorded to a library. You'll be able to look at them, and you'll also be able to see which Digimon you have yet to raise. You'll see which ones are currently locked or just unobtainable, and as you raise them, you'll fill them in. So I know a lot of people were missing that on the Digital Monster Color. They'll be happy to see that return here. They talked about the methods for getting Angoramon, Jellymon, and Lugamon. Specifically that you're going to need to connect to another version of the Digital Monster, or I'm sorry, to the Digimon Pendulum color in order to unlock these evolutionary routes. So they're not on there by default. So if you don't get any other devices and you raise, you'll never see these ones come up, but you'll be able to connect to another version to unlock these routes. And again, we are likely to see the rest of these lines as well. So Jellymon, Tussle Jellymon, etc. should all be on there. We just don't know the specific rosters as far as those go yet, but now we know the method for getting to them. Again, that's kind of returning from the Pendulum Z, where when you would connect to another version of the Pendulum Z, you'd get one of the Digimon Adventure 02 partners to raise. You would also get something for connecting to 2 devices, but they didn't mention anything about that here. And based on the number of Digimon left on each roster, I doubt there would be anything for that specifically either. The multi-device connections are probably just going to get a bonus background. Again, maybe Folder Continent. And then they showed off Mastemon as Jagras for Lady Devimon and Anjuamon. So we already knew, again, Mastemon was going to be here, so this isn't a surprise. I already mentioned it earlier in this same video, but they at least actually showed it, and it's nice to have additional confirmation as well. And that is it as far as rosters and otherwise general information on the devices go. So again, just as a reminder, pre-orders going on right now, 7,150 yen, releasing in February, 3 different versions. And I haven't waxed on this yet, but I am very disappointed that they went with the orange buttons for the Deep Savers device. I am not thrilled with that whatsoever. And definitely will consider doing a swap. I might swap it with the, just make it pure blue, swap it with my Nature Spirits. But then I wouldn't like the way my Nature Spirits look, so I'll put orange over on, well, actually, black buttons might look fine on the Deep Savers. I might be into that. So I might just swap it with Nightmare Soldiers, because Nightmare Soldiers, I think red and orange would go well together. Make it all Halloween-y. Whatever. I guess it's orange and black normally. Whatever. I wish it would. It's the blue and silver for Deep Savers, but I'm just happy to have these in general. This is super exciting. This is something I was really hoping for when they first announced the Digital Monster Color. I very much enjoyed the Digital Monster Color. It's been despite not being as crazy or complex as a lot of other devices, it's just fun. Like, the original devices themselves were all a ton of fun as they were. They're what got me into Digimon. Digimon Pendulum specifically was something that really, really interested me for a long time because I knew they existed, being a fan in the early 2000s. But we didn't have them, obviously. They never got released in the United States. And so I always wanted them and eventually got my own when I got into high school and had a job and could import things. And it was just my favorite thing. I loved it. I loved my Deep Savers device. I had the Wing Guardians as well back then. I've since collected all 6 versions, but back then I just had those 2 and absolutely loved them. And so super exciting to see this. Super nostalgic for me. I know these are retro bait. I know, and I'm a sucker for it, but I am legitimately excited for these. Hopefully you are too. Let me know what you think about these. Let me know if you're going to order them, which ones are you going to order. You shouldn't feel compelled to order all of them, I will say. I'm doing that because I'm insane, but I think as far as pendulums go, you really should just stick with whichever ones have what you like on them. If you only like aquatic creatures, just get Deep Savers. If you only like dinosaurs and bugs, just get Nature Spirits. That's my philosophy for the longest time, and I stuck with that on some device series. Other device series, I specifically wanted to get all of them, but I think in general, just going with the roster you want is the best way to go about it. So we should see more details about these in the coming months, including slowly revealing more of the Digimon that will appear on them through Mon memos and stuff. So definitely keep an eye on the Discord server, because any news that pops up will obviously immediately pop in there. I might not do a whole video unless we get a significant amount of news, but I'll at least do a short when small things pop out. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can keep up with those. And yeah, if you want to talk about this, make sure to head over to the server just to chat as well, because people are going crazy right now. I'm sure I've missed hundreds of messages in the time I've been recording this. And until next time, bye.